For 2 years, I rented a small but beautiful apartment above a bakery in a quiet part of town. My landlord, Gary, was polite at first, always smiling when he collected rent, always quick to say hello in the hallway. What I didn't know was that behind that friendly smile, he had been planning something for months that would have left me homeless with almost no notice if he had picked the wrong tenant to try it on. My name is Danielle. I am 30 years old, and I work as a real estate attorney at a mid-sized firm downtown. I chose to keep my profession private from my landlord, not out of secrecy, but simply because it never came up in casual conversation. I paid rent on time every month, kept the apartment in great condition, and never caused a single complaint in 2 years. Everything changed when Gary decided to sell the building to a developer planning to convert it into luxury condos. Instead of following proper legal procedure, which required a minimum notice period and specific relocation assistance under our state's tenant protection laws, Gary decided to take a shortcut. One afternoon, I came home to find a notice taped to my door. It stated that due to unforeseen renovation requirements, I had 30 days to vacate the apartment, with no compensation, no relocation assistance, and no formal eviction filing through the court system, which is legally required before any tenant can be removed. I read the notice twice, sat down on my couch, and felt something shift in me. Not panic, but a very calm, very focused kind of anger. I called Gary directly and asked him to clarify the notice. He said, casually, as if this were completely normal, "Look, the new owners want the building empty by next month. I'm giving you more notice than I legally have to. Most landlords would just tell you to leave in 2 weeks." I asked him one simple question. "Gary, have you filed anything with the court regarding this eviction?" He paused, then said, "It's not really an eviction, it's just a lease termination for renovations." That single sentence told me everything I needed to know. He genuinely believed he could remove a tenant without any legal filing, based on a taped notice on a door. In my state, that is not just improper, it is illegal, and it can result in significant penalties for a landlord who attempts it. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten him in the moment. I simply said, "I'll be in touch," and hung up. The next morning, I drafted a formal letter on my law firm's letterhead, citing the specific state statutes Gary had violated, including the required notice period, the mandatory court filing process for any eviction, and the relocation assistance owed to tenants displaced due to renovation or demolition of a residential unit. I included case law precedent from a similar situation I had handled professionally the previous year, where a landlord faced significant financial penalties for attempting exactly what Gary was trying to do. I sent the letter through certified mail, along with a copy to the local housing authority, simply to ensure there was an official record of the situation. 3 days later, Gary called me, his tone completely different from before. He said there had been a misunderstanding and that of course he wanted to handle everything properly. He asked if we could discuss things privately instead of involving any official channels. I agreed to a meeting, but only in writing, through email, so there would be a clear record of everything discussed. During that email exchange, Gary attempted to offer me 1 month of free rent if I agreed to leave voluntarily within 2 weeks, still far short of what was legally owed to me. I declined and outlined exactly what state law required, including a minimum 90-day notice period for renovation-related displacement and mandatory relocation assistance equal to 2 months' rent, given the building's classification and my tenancy length. Gary tried once more to negotiate down, suggesting that as a reasonable adult, I should understand that developers have tight timelines. I responded simply that I understood tight timelines very well, professionally, and that his timeline did not override state tenant protection law. Eventually, faced with the reality that I was not only aware of my rights, but was fully capable of pursuing formal legal action, including potential penalties for his attempted illegal eviction, Gary agreed to the full 90-day notice period, along with the legally required relocation assistance payment. I used that time to find a new apartment on my own terms, without pressure, without panic, and with the exact compensation I was legally owed sitting in my account before I moved a single box. I later learned, through a mutual acquaintance in the building, that Gary had successfully pressured 2 other tenants in the building to leave early using the same tactic, tenants who did not know their rights and simply believed him when he said they had no choice. I do not know what happened with those other tenants afterward, and I genuinely wish I had understood the full picture sooner so I could have said something to them directly. What I do know is that my own situation ended exactly the way the law intended, calmly, formally, and completely in my favor, without a single raised voice. I moved out on my own timeline into a better apartment, with money in my pocket instead of panic in my chest. Gary never contacted me again after the final relocation payment cleared. Sometimes the most effective response to someone underestimating you is not anger. It is simply knowing exactly what you are entitled to and calmly refusing to accept anything less.